All right, so today we're diving deep into the world of Amla, and it's also known as the Indian gooseberry.
Right.
You sent over some really interesting research on it,
Yeah.
and it looks like you're interested in more than just how it tastes.
Yeah, definitely.
We're talking about all the potential health benefits and, the historical uses.
The whole 9 yards.
Yeah, the whole shebang.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
Amla has this incredible history in traditional Indian medicine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they used it for everything
Wow.
from trying to ease anxiety
Oh,
to improving liver health.
interesting.
And the really interesting part is that modern science is actually starting to back up some of these traditional uses.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's not just some ancient folk remedy.
No,
There's actual, research on it.
there's actual science behind it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Color me intrigued. Tell me everything.
Okay, well, to get the full picture, we have to start with the basics.
Okay.
We got to look at the nutritional profile of Amla.
All right.
So one of the first things you'll notice is that it's actually surprisingly high in carbs and fiber.
Really?
Yeah, we're talking over 70 grams of carbs per 100 grams of dried Amla.
Wow, 70 grams. That's a lot for a fruit.
It is quite a bit.
Is that why it's been traditionally linked to having good digestion?
It's definitely a contributing factor, I would say.
Okay.
Fiber is key for keeping things moving, if you know what I mean.
Right.
But it's not just a fiber bomb.
Oh, okay.
It's also got a decent amount of protein
Oh.
and some minerals like iron and calcium
Ah.
and even a little bit of fat.
Okay. So it's got the basics covered.
It does.
But you mentioned some pretty exciting stuff earlier.
Yeah.
What is the real star of the show when it comes to Amla's nutrients?
Oh, definitely vitamin C.
Oh, yeah.
Amla is absolutely loaded with it.
Oh, okay.
Way more than your average apple or orange.
Oh, wow.
We're talking you can meet your daily requirement in just a small serving.
Hold on. Are you serious?
Yeah.
How much vitamin C are we talking about here?
Research shows it can range from about 193 to a whopping 720 milligrams per 100 grams.
Okay.
And the recommended daily intake is only about 75 to 90 milligrams for adults.
Okay, now that's impressive.
Yeah. It's a lot.
We all know vitamin C is great for immunity and
Right.
keeping our skin looking nice.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling there's more to this Amla story, right?
Absolutely, there is.
Okay.
There's a whole other layer we need to explore.
Right.
And that's where those intriguing phytochemicals come in.
Okay.
Now, think of them as like naturally occurring compounds in plants that can actually impact our health.
Okay.
And Amla is brimming with them,
No.
especially a type called polyphenols.
Poly what now?
Polyphenols.
Okay, break that down for me.
Yeah.
What are polyphenols?
So think of polyphenols like these tiny little superheroes that live in plants.
Okay.
And they're what give them their vibrant colors and unique flavors.
Okay.
But their real superpower lies in their potential health benefits. They work behind the scenes to keep our cells healthy and strong.
Okay. I like that. It's little superheroes.
Yeah, little protectors.
So Amla is packed with these cell-protecting polyphenols, but how does that actually, translate to real-life health benefits?
That's where the research gets really interesting.
Okay.
One of the biggest things Amla's polyphenols are known for is their antioxidant power.
Ah, antioxidants.
Yes.
Everyone's always talking about antioxidants.
Right.
To be honest, I'm not really sure what they actually do.
Okay, so picture this.
Okay.
Our bodies are constantly under attack by these things called free radicals,
Oh, yeah, I've heard of those.
which are basically little troublemakers that cause damage to our cells.
Oh, okay.
Antioxidants are like the superheroes that swoop in to neutralize those troublemakers and protect our cells from harm.
So Amla's polyphenols are like this little army fighting off those pesky free radicals.
That's a great way to put it.
That's pretty cool, but is there any proof that it actually works?
There is.
Oh,
The research you sent over actually highlights Amla's impressive antioxidant activity.
okay.
And get that. It's not just about the antioxidants Amla itself contains.
Yeah.
Research suggests that Amla can actually give your body's own natural defenses a boost.
Wait.
Yeah.
Amla can actually help my body produce more of its own antioxidants?
It seems that way.
So it's not just providing the antioxidants.
Right.
It's helping my body become a better superhero factory.
That's amazing.
It's really quite remarkable.
Yeah.
And the potential benefits don't stop there.
Okay.
There's a lot of buzz around Amla's role in heart health.
Okay.
So you know how high cholesterol is a major risk factor for heart problems?
Oh, yeah. Everyone's always talking about cholesterol.
Right.
You got to keep it low.
Exactly.
It can be really dangerous for your heart.
Yeah, and early research is actually suggesting that Amla might be able to help keep those cholesterol levels in check.
Heart health is huge these days.
It is.
What kind of research are we talking about here?
Well, there have been some really promising studies,
Okay.
but we always have to remember that more research is needed.
Right, of course. But for example, one study found that Amla juice actually helped to limit the oxidation of LDL cholesterol.
LDL, that's the bad cholesterol.
Exactly. It's the one that can clog up your arteries.
So it's like Amla is a guardian for our arteries, preventing that bad cholesterol from causing any problems.
Like that analogy.
Yeah.
Another study actually showed that Amla extract might actually help protect the heart from damage caused by reduced blood flow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and perhaps most excitingly, there's even a human study that showed Amla extract lowered both cholesterol and LDL levels in people with obesity.
Now, this is getting really interesting.
It is.
I'm starting to see why you're so excited about Amla.
Yeah.
It's not just a tasty fruit.
No,
It's like this tiny little health warrior packed with potential.
exactly. And we haven't even touched on the potential blood sugar balancing act of this fruit.
Okay.
In a world where diabetes is on the rise,
You're all right.
this is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, for sure.
So tell me,
Tell me more.
are you interested in how Amla could help with blood sugar?
I am all ears.
Okay, so research suggests that Amla might be able to help regulate blood sugar levels.
Okay.
And in fact, one study showed that Amla extract actually improved insulin levels in mice with diabetes.
So it's not just about preventing those sugar spikes.
Right.
It's about helping the body utilize insulin more effectively.
Exactly.
Interesting.
And there have even been clinical trials in humans showing that Amla extract reduced blood glucose levels in people with diabetes.
Wow. So it's not just in mice.
No, they've done it with real people.
That's amazing.
It is pretty promising.
So more research is needed, but the initial findings look good.
They do look really good.
Amla is really shaping up to be quite the superhero fruit.
It is.
But I'm guessing the story doesn't end there.
You're right, it doesn't.
What other areas of research are scientists looking into when it comes to Amla?
Well, researchers are also looking at its potential roles in preventing cancer, reducing inflammation, and even protecting the digestive tract.
Really?
It's like Amla is this treasure chest of health benefits just waiting to be explored.
Wow. This is a lot to take in.
I know it's a lot.
It sounds like Amla is more than just a fruit.
Right.
It's a potential game changer for our health.
I think that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
We're just scratching the surface of what this ancient food can do.
And on that note, I think we should probably take a break.
Yeah, let's take a pause and then we'll come back and dive even deeper into these potential benefits.
Sounds like a plan. I am ready to dive deeper into the world of Amla.
Okay, let's do it.
So we talked about Amla being this nutritional powerhouse loaded with vitamin C and those fascinating polyphenols, the tiny superheroes protecting our cells. But you mentioned some even more intriguing possibilities, like Amla's potential role in cancer prevention. That's a pretty big claim.
It is, and it's super important to emphasize that the research on Amla and cancer is still very preliminary.
Okay.
Like most of it is limited to cell studies.
Right.
So it's way too early to make any definitive claims,
Of course.
But some of these early studies have shown some really promising results.
Okay. Like,
For example, Amla extract has been shown to inhibit the growth of certain types of cancer cells in a lab setting.
so they've actually witnessed Amla fighting off cancer cells at a microscopic level.
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing.
It is pretty amazing, but again, we need a lot more research to really understand if and how this translates to cancer prevention in humans.
Right. It's not a guaranteed cancer cure,
No, not at all.
but it's showing some potential.
Definitely showing potential, definitely an area worth watching closely.
Yeah, as research progresses, for sure.
Yeah,
Speaking of keeping things in check, you also mentioned inflammation.
right.
Amla might be able to help with that too.
Exactly. So we all know inflammation is a natural part of the healing process.
Yeah, like when you get a cut or something.
Yeah, it's our body's way of protecting itself.
Right.
But when it becomes chronic, that low-grade inflammation,
Yeah.
that can be a real troublemaker.
Right. It can lead to other health issues.
Yes, it can contribute to all sorts of things.
So how does Amla come into play with inflammation?
Well, some studies suggest that Amla has some pretty powerful anti-inflammatory properties.
Okay, color me intrigued. How does it work?
So research has shown that Amla extract can reduce the levels of certain inflammatory markers in the body.
Okay. What are inflammatory markers?
Just think of them as little red flags that signal inflammation in the body.
Oh, okay.
Amla extract seems to be able to lower those red flags, essentially calming things down.
So it's like Amla is this peacekeeper helping to soothe those inflammatory flare-ups.
I like that analogy. That's a great way to think about it.
Yeah.
And there's even a human study showing that Amla extract reduced platelet aggregation.
Platelet aggregation.
Yeah, it's a process involved in inflammation and blood clotting.
Okay, remind me what platelet aggregation is again.
Platelets are those tiny blood cells that help stop bleeding when you get a cut.
Oh, right.
So aggregation is when they clump together,
Okay.
and that's super important for clotting,
Yeah.
but it can also play a role in inflammation. So the study showed that Amla extract could decrease this clumping, potentially helping to reduce inflammation.
Wow. So they're not just seeing it in a petri dish.
No.
They're actually seeing these effects in people.
They are.
That's really exciting.
It is.
We can't forget about Amla's traditional use in supporting digestion.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You mentioned earlier that it's been used in traditional Indian medicine for centuries.
Yeah, for exactly that.
To support digestion. But is there any actual science to back up those claims?
There is.
Really?
Yeah. Research is starting to uncover some interesting findings.
Like what?
For instance, one study found that Amla extract inhibited the growth of H. pylori.
H. pylori, that's the bacteria that can cause ulcers, right?
Exactly.
So Amla could potentially help prevent ulcers.
It's definitely a possibility.
That's incredible.
And there's more. Another study showed that Amla extract protected mice from ulcers induced by various methods.
Wow.
So that suggests that it might be able to actually protect the stomach lining from damage.
Wow, that's really promising. But are we still talking about mice, or have they seen these effects in humans?
They have, actually.
Okay, tell me more.
This one's especially relevant for anyone who suffers from GERD,
Acid reflux.
Yeah, that awful acid reflux.
Yeah, I know it well.
A human study actually found that Amla extract reduced the severity and frequency of heartburn and regurgitation in people with GERD.
So it might not only help prevent ulcers, but it could also provide some relief for those struggling with GERD.
Exactly.
Amla is like a multi-tool for gut health.
I think that's a great way to put it.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense when you think about all that fiber it has
Right.
and all those polyphenols.
Yeah, a lot of them have been shown to have a really positive impact on gut health.
Okay, I'm sold. Amla sounds like a true superfood, but before I rush out and buy it by the truckload,
Yeah.
are there any potential downsides to Amla? Are there any risks or precautions to be aware of?
That's a fantastic question.
Yeah.
It's always important to consider both the potential benefits and risks of any food or supplement.
Right.
So based on the research that you've provided, Amla seems to be generally safe for most people.
Okay.
It's been consumed for centuries as both a food and a traditional remedy.
So it has a long track record of safe use.
It does.
That's good to hear. But are there any exceptions, like any groups of people that might need to be more cautious?
As with any food, there's always a chance of individual sensitivities or allergies.
Right, of course.
Some people might experience a little digestive upset, things like bloating or diarrhea,
Oh, okay.
especially if they consume a lot of Amla, especially if they're not used to a high-fiber diet.
Right. Their system might be a little shocked.
Exactly. So just start slow and listen to your body.
Makes sense. Any other precautions?
Well, it's worth noting that Amla can potentially interact with certain medications.
Oh, okay.
So if you are taking any medications, it's always a good idea to talk to your doctor.
Of course. Better safe than sorry.
Exactly. And that's something we should remember when exploring any food or supplement, really.
Yeah, knowledge is power.
Absolutely.
Well, I think that's a great place to wrap up this part of our deep dive on Amla.
Yeah, we've covered so much ground already.
Yeah, we've talked about the potential benefits for heart health,
Blood sugar.
even those early hints about cancer, inflammation, and digestion.
That's a lot to take in.
It is, but I know there's one more area of research in the materials you sent over that I'm super curious about.
Let's hear it.
And that's the potential neuroprotective effects of Amla.
Okay.
Are you telling me that this fruit might actually have benefits for our brains?
You read that right.
Wow, it's amazing to think about how much potential this one little fruit has. We've gone from talking about Amla's incredible nutrients and those awesome polyphenols to exploring its possible benefits for heart health, blood sugar, even those early hints about fighting inflammation and maybe even protecting against cancer.
It is remarkable how much research is out there.
There is. And speaking of research, there's one more area that I'm super curious about.
Oh, yeah? What's that?
It's the potential neuroprotective effects of Amla. So are you telling me this fruit might actually be good for our brains?
You read that right. It is another really exciting area of research. Scientists are exploring the possibility that Amla could actually help protect the brain from damage and maybe even enhance cognitive function.
Okay, now I'm really curious. What kind of evidence are we talking about here?
Well, one study that really stood out to me looked at the effects of Amla extract on aluminum toxicity in mice.
Aluminum toxicity. Okay, remind me why that's important.
Well, Aluminum is a metal that's found pretty much everywhere in our environment.
Right.
And while most of us can handle it just fine, excessive exposure has actually been linked to some neurological problems.
Oh, okay.
So the fact that Amla extracts seem to offer some protection against aluminum-induced damage is pretty significant.
Wow, that's really interesting. So it's like Amla is acting as a shield, protecting our brains from those harmful substances.
Yeah, that's one way to think about it. There's another study that looked at animals that had chemically induced neurological impairment, basically mimicking cognitive decline.
Right.
And researchers found that giving them Amla extract actually led to improvements in their memory and learning.
So it's not just about protection. It might actually be able to help our brains function better.
It seems that way. And perhaps the most fascinating research of all hints at Amla's potential to protect against the biochemical changes associated with Alzheimer's disease.
Alzheimer's.
Now, that would be a monumental breakthrough. But is there any real indication that Amla could actually prevent this disease?
Well, it's way too early to say for sure, but the early findings are definitely promising. More research is definitely needed, but just imagine the possibilities if we could harness the power of Amla to protect our brains from such a devastating disease.
That would be incredible. It's amazing to think that this one little fruit could have so much potential, from our hearts and blood sugar to our digestion and even our brains.
I know, it really is amazing. And the best part is we're probably just scratching the surface. Who knows what other secrets Amla holds? That's what makes science so exciting, right? There's always something new to discover. So as we wrap up this amazing deep dive into the world of Amla, what is the main thing you want our listeners to remember? What's the most important takeaway about this fruit?
I think the key takeaway is that Amla is so much more than just a tasty fruit. It's a potential powerhouse of health benefits, and it's backed by both ancient wisdom and a growing body of scientific evidence.
I love that. And it's a great reminder that nature really does hold some of the most powerful solutions for our health and well-being.
Absolutely.
And, as we finish up, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about.
Okay.
We've talked about all of these amazing potential benefits of Amla's individual components.
Right.
But what if the real power of Amla comes from all of those things working together?
You mean like a synergistic effect?
Exactly. What if the combination of all those antioxidants, vitamins, minerals, and phytochemicals creates a health-promoting effect that's even greater than any one of those things could achieve on its own?
That's a really interesting thought. It really makes you appreciate the power of whole foods and how much we still have to learn.
It does. And on that note, we'll leave our listeners to continue exploring the fascinating world of Amla. Who knows, maybe someone listening will be the one to unlock Amla's next big secret.
Maybe so.
That's all for today's deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.